Shedeur Sanders turns heads after incredible warm-up footage ahead of Browns versus Raiders NFL Sunday. The cameras were rolling long before kickoff. The stadium lights were still warming up. The crowd had not yet filled the seats, and even the pregame playlist had not reached full volume. But one figure on the field, helmet off, visor tucked under his arm, eyes sharp with a mix of calm and competitive fire, became the center of every lens, every whisper, and every early headline forming inside the stadium. Shedeur Sanders. What was supposed to be a routine warm-up ahead of the Cleveland Browns matchup against the Las Vegas Raiders on NFL Sunday became something entirely different. It became a spectacle, a storyline, a moment of realization, a sudden shift in narrative. Because Sanders didn't just warm up. He performed. He threw with precision that demanded attention. He moved with the rhythm of a quarterback who has not only studied the game but absorbed it. And in a league where every rookie is measured, doubted, dissected, and questioned before they take a meaningful snap, Sanders looked like someone refusing to wait his turn. He looked like someone announcing that his turn had already come. A warm-up that didn't feel like one. Most young quarterbacks walk into their warm-up window with a checklist. Footwork reps, route timing, a few deep throws to test the arm, a handful of rhythm throws to settle in. Shedeur executed all of it, but added a layer that made the Browns' coaching staff visibly stiffen. He threw with an edge. He threw with conviction. He threw like a quarterback who had spent years being told he wasn't ready and had no intention of hearing it again. Observers along the sideline began reacting in real time. Coaches muttered under their breath. Raiders defenders stole glances. Camera operators zoomed in without being asked. And fans arriving early found themselves cheering. Not for a touchdown, not for a spectacular play, but for warm-up throws that sliced through the chilly afternoon air with NFL starter swagger. One throw in particular sent murmurs across the lower bowl. A 45-yard laser on a rope, delivered off-platform while rolling left, with just enough touch to drop perfectly into the hands of the wideout without breaking stride. It wasn't just the arm strength, it was the ease. The footwork was crisp, the base was balanced, the shoulders stayed calm, the release stayed fast, and the confidence poured off of him like a player who had seen this moment 1,000 times in his head before ever stepping onto an NFL field. The pressure around him, and why this moment mattered. For weeks leading up to this game, the Browns' quarterback room was a headline factory. Questions about the starter, questions about the depth chart, questions about whether the franchise truly believed Shedeur Sanders could be more than a project, or whether he was merely a novelty surrounded by media buzz from his sensational college career under Deion Sanders at Colorado. National analysts debated him. Local radio questioned him. Fans argued daily about expectations versus reality. But the warm-up session told a different story. A story that no debate table could fully capture. Shedeur looked like he belonged. And not just in the he can develop into something sense. He looked like a quarterback ready now. His presence, his poise, his command of the field, none of it resembled a rookie searching for direction. It resembled a polished passer who understood the assignment better than anyone expected. When he jogged back to the sideline after his final deep ball rep, the Browns quarterback's coach met him with a look that said it all. Not praise, not surprise, but recognition. Recognition that maybe the kid really is ready. Why the footage exploded online. Even before kickoff, clips began circulating across social media. High-definition sideline footage captured the sharp mechanics. Fan-shot videos recorded the arc of his deep passes. Reporters posted slow-motion breakdowns of his release. Within minutes, Shedeur Sanders' warm-up trended across X, Instagram Reels, TikTok, and YouTube. Influencers debated it. Former NFL quarterbacks commented on it. College football fans argued about whether this was the exact version of Shedeur they'd been insisting would translate perfectly into the NFL. The most viral clip, clocking millions of views within hours, showed Shedeur executing a 3-drop step, pump fake, spin out, and throwback across the field. The ball traveled nearly 50 yards in the air and hit the receiver directly in the chest. ESPN analyst Ryan Clark reposted it with a caption, "This is not normal rookie warm-up work." Meanwhile, Robert Griffin III chimed in, "Shedeur looks like a Sunday QB. Simple as that." Fans went wild. Critics grew quiet, and a new wave of excitement built around the Browns' upcoming matchup, shifting attention away from depth chart politics and straight onto performance. Body language of a quarterback who knows who he is. The most telling part of the warm-up wasn't the throws. It was the way Shedeur carried himself between reps. No rushed moments. No nervous glances. No rookie timidness. He walked with the calm authority of someone who fully expects to lead, whether others believe he's earned it or not. Every bounce step, every nod to his receivers, every glance toward the defensive end of the field carried subtle messaging. He's preparing to be the guy. Not just a backup. Not a developmental project. Not a player waiting for the stars to align. A starting NFL quarterback in the making. The Raiders' sideline noticed, too. As Sanders' warm-up continued, several Raiders defensive backs found themselves pausing conversations just to glance over. Warm-ups rarely draw attention from the opposing team. Players have their own routines and film to focus on. But Sanders' session was different. Raiders cornerbacks coach Ricky Manning Jr. kept watching, even leaning forward at one point after a particularly sharp intermediate throw. Defensive end Max Crosby, never shy to talk, often eager to chirp at any young QB, simply nodded slowly as if making mental notes of a potential future battle. Even Raiders fans, famous for their intensity and unfiltered commentary, couldn't help but react. A group of black hole loyalists near the tunnel shouted, "Yo, that kid came to play today." And that sentiment captured the mood perfectly. Everyone watching knew it. Everyone could feel it. This wasn't a routine warm-up. This was a quarterback making a statement. Browns coaching staff reaction. Mix of hope and strategy. The Browns coaching staff remained composed, publicly, but behind the calm sideline demeanor, there was an undeniable shift happening. Offensive coordinator Ken Dorsey stood with crossed arms, narrowing his eyes as he analyzed each rep. Head coach Kevin Stefanski kept glancing towards Sanders even while engaged in discussions with his assistants. Quarterbacks coach Tom Manning hovered near the back of the line, quietly tracking every mechanic. They didn't look surprised. They looked impressed and curious. Curious how soon this version of Shedeur Sanders would translate into game speed. Because every franchise knows that warm-up excellence doesn't guarantee in-game brilliance. But it does reveal potential. It reveals readiness. It reveals whether the internal belief is justified. And on this NFL Sunday, Sanders made the Browns look justified in drafting him. The legacy factor, playing under the weight of the Sanders name. There is no escaping the legacy. There never has been. Being the son of Deion Sanders, Coach Prime, the Hall of Famer, the icon, the lightning rod of attention, comes with expectations no quarterback in modern memory has had to shoulder. For years, critics dismissed Shedeur's success as a byproduct of his father's spotlight, his system, or his environment. But in the NFL, none of that matters. Here, the only thing that matters is performance. And Sanders understands that better than anyone. His warm-up session wasn't about flash, or trending moments, or proving something to critics. At its core, it was about proving something to himself, and proving that everything he built at Jackson State, everything he refined at Colorado, everything he fought for, had prepared him for this exact moment. He wasn't acting like Deion Sanders' son. He was acting like an NFL quarterback. And that distinction changes everything. The locker room buzz. Teammates feel the energy. When Shedeur walked back into the locker room after warm-ups, several teammates approached him. Not with hype or noise, but with recognition. It wasn't the kind of celebration reserved for a big play. It was the quiet, nodding respect for someone who had just shown out. Veteran receiver Amari Cooper patted him on the shoulder. Running back Nick Chubb offered a small grin. Even defensive players chimed in. "Keep throwing that thing like that, Rook." Everyone felt the momentum shift. Everyone saw how the narrative could change. In a locker room where snaps must be earned, Sanders had just earned something invaluable. Belief. Not promises. Not guarantees. Not starting job proclamations. But belief. And in the NFL, belief often becomes opportunity. National media reaction. The beginning of a real conversation. It didn't take long for the ESPN desk to get involved. Minutes after the warm-up footage hit social media, studio analysts began discussing Sanders with a tone that felt different than the rookie curiosity narrative. This was serious. This was analytical. This was the start of an actual conversation about his NFL readiness. Stephen A. Smith. "That boy doesn't look like a rookie to me." Dan Orlovsky. "Mechanics are clean. Footwork is balanced. Release is tight. This is pro-level prep."